Hunting for Answers is a production of the Black Effect Podcast Network and iHeartRadio. Welcome to Hunting for Answers, a true crime podcast. I'm your host, Hunter, and today we're highlighting a case that began in Richmond, Indiana. In July of 2001, a 28-year-old mother set out to run errands on a Sunday afternoon. She had wedding invitations to mail and a tuxedo fitting to attend with her fiancé. In just 3 weeks, she would become a bride. But after making a quick stop at a convenience store, she disappeared. No goodbye, no explanation, no trace. More than 2 decades later, her family is still searching. And the man investigators believe may hold the answers died without ever telling them what he knew. This is the story of Niqui McCown. Marilyn Renee Nicole McCown, known to everyone as Niqui, was born on January 6, 1973 in Richmond, Indiana. She was the youngest of 10 children, raised in a close-knit family. At the time she disappeared, Niqui had light brown hair and brown eyes. She stood about 5'2" and weighed around 115 pounds. She had several distinctive scars: a small scar above her left eye, a small scar on the right side of her face, a scar on the top of her head, and a large scar on her left lower leg. On the day she vanished, Niqui was last seen wearing a bright pink and purple floral swimsuit top, dark-colored shorts, diamond earrings, and a white gold bracelet. Niqui worked as an accounting clerk at the Montgomery Education and Pre-Release Center. She was also attending Sinclair Community College, with dreams of one day becoming a U.S. Marshal. But above all else, Niqui was a mother. To her 9-year-old daughter, Peyton, she was mom, the person who made her feel safe, seen, and loved. Niqui's love story began years earlier. She and Bobby Webster had known each other since high school. Life took them in different directions, but years later, they reconnected. The spark was still there. By the summer of 2001, they were engaged and planning their future. On July 22, 2001, they were just 3 weeks away from their wedding day. Invitations were ready. Final details were being checked off. No one knew that this would be the last day Niqui McCown would ever be seen. Sunday, July 22, 2001. Niqui attended church that morning with Bobby and her daughter. After the service, they split up to run errands. Bobby went to a tuxedo fitting. Niqui headed out to do laundry. Ordinary and routine. Until it wasn't. At some point during her errands, Niqui became visibly upset. She stopped by her mother's home and told her that she had been harassed by 2 men while doing laundry. They would not leave her alone. Her mother tried to calm her down, but Niqui was shaken. Surveillance footage later showed Niqui leaving the laundromat alone, with no visible signs of a struggle. But whatever happened there clearly left an impact. The men she described were never publicly identified. Later that afternoon, Niqui stopped at a convenience store in Richmond to get change. Surveillance cameras captured her walking into the store. It would be the last confirmed sighting of Niqui McCown. She never picked up her daughter, never returned home, never called. She simply disappeared. When Niqui didn't come home that night, her family immediately knew that something was wrong. This was not like her. She would never leave without Peyton, never walk away from her life, and never vanish just weeks before her wedding. Richmond police opened an investigation, but there were no witnesses to what happened, no obvious signs of a struggle, and no clear leads. It was as if Niqui had vanished into thin air. Months passed with no answers. Then, in early November of 2001, investigators made a discovery. Niqui's SUV was found in a parking lot at an apartment complex in Dayton, Ohio, less than an hour from Richmond. Inside the vehicle were baskets of neatly folded, clean laundry. The door lock had been punched out. The ignition showed signs of tampering. The stereo system was missing. But there were no usable fingerprints. And the location where the vehicle was found quickly raised questions for investigators. Police looked closely at people from Niqui's life. One of them was Stephen Johnston, the father of Niqui's daughter. He cooperated with police and had an alibi for the day Niqui disappeared. He also submitted to a polygraph exam. He was never charged. As the investigation continued, attention shifted elsewhere. Investigators also scrutinized Niqui's fiancé, Bobby Webster. Some of his actions in the days after her disappearance raised questions for police, and he was closely examined during the early stages of the case. Bobby denied any involvement in Niqui's disappearance. Over time, investigators turned their focus to another man, someone who had been part of Niqui's daily life, a coworker. His name was Tommy Swint. Like Niqui, he worked in corrections. Over the years, investigators said they received information suggesting that Swint had taken a strong interest in Niqui, and that his behavior towards women at work had raised concerns. But for years, they did not have enough evidence to act. After Niqui's disappearance, Tommy Swint continued working in law enforcement. In 2007, he was hired as a police officer in Trotwood, Ohio. Just weeks into the job, Richmond police contacted Trotwood officials and informed them that Swint was a person of interest in a missing person case. Swint resigned from the department shortly after. He later filed a lawsuit, which was dismissed. Media coverage of that lawsuit caught the attention of investigators in Dayton. In November of 2007, an informant contacted police and urged them to take a closer look into Tommy Swint, not just for Niqui McCown's disappearance, but for a cold case murder from 1991. On December 17, 1991, a 33-year-old woman named Tina Marie Ivory was murdered in Dayton, Ohio. Her body was found wrapped in a blanket. The case remained unsolved for years. But after receiving the tip in 2007, police re-examined the evidence. In 2008, forensic testing connected Tommy Swint to the 1991 murder of Tina Marie Ivory. DNA evidence recovered from the scene was matched to him. Investigators also identified a fingerprint found on the tape used to wrap Tina Ivory's remains as Swint's. After nearly 2 decades, police had enough evidence to move forward. On February 3, 2010, Tommy Swint was indicted for the murder of Tina Marie Ivory. Authorities went to his residence in Phoenix City, Alabama, to arrest him. As they approached, they heard a gunshot. Inside, they found Tommy Swint dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He had taken his own life. With Swint's death, any chance of hearing his side of the story was gone along with him. Investigators have said they believe Tommy Swint is responsible for Niqui McCown's disappearance. But without a confession or any definitive answers about what happened to her, questions remain. Niqui McCown has never been found. Over the years, tips have come in, searches have been conducted, but no clear answers have emerged. Niqui's daughter Peyton was 9 years old when her mother disappeared. On the first day of 3rd grade, her aunt walked her into school because her mom never came home. Today, Peyton is an adult and a mother herself. She said she will never stop searching for the truth. Niqui's mother, Barbara McCown, spent nearly 2 decades searching for her youngest daughter. She passed away of cancer on July 21st, 2020, one day before the anniversary of Niqui's disappearance. She never got answers. She never got to bring her daughter home. Niqui's sister, Michelle McCown Luster, has turned her grief into action. She serves in a leadership and outreach role with the Doc Ellis Foundation, advocating for missing persons of color. Michelle has spoken openly about how cases like Niqui's receive far less media attention than others, despite the fact that they deserve the same urgency and care. As of the most recent available reporting, Niqui McCown's disappearance remains an active missing person case. And while no new breakthroughs have been publicly announced, investigators continue to hope that someone with information will come forward. Anyone with information about the disappearance or whereabouts of Niqui McCown should contact the Richmond, Indiana Police Department. You can find their contact information in the description below. As we close out this episode, remember that sharing Niqui's story could help bring new answers for her loved ones and investigators. Follow Hunting for Answers for updates on this case and others like it. Subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Instagram and TikTok for more true crime stories and case updates. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode. Until next time. Hunting for Answers is a production of the Black Effect Podcast Network. For more podcasts from the Black Effect Podcast Network, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.